Welcome back into KIRO Nights. I am G. Scott. Happy Monday to all of you. I wonder if Dr. Martin Luther King would have liked that song I was just playing. I'm sure he would have. Mm-hmm. I'm sure he would have bobbed and his head to it.
It's produced by J. Cole. He's a great activist.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Sweet.
Time to talk about the great Dr. Martin Luther King.
In the wheel, in the middle of the wheel, John talked about it in the book of the 7 seals. Some call him the Rose of Sharon, others call him
now,
the Prince of Peace. That's why
Americans across the country remember civil rights leader Martin Luther King today. Congressman James Clyburn, he joined the NAACP rally at the South Carolina State House in Columbia.
America is great. That is not our problem. Our problem is making America's greatness apply fairly and equitably to all of its citizens.
He made reference to the border fight.
He told us injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And today, there are injustices down on the southern border.
So Drew, usually this is the first time, usually as a kid, right? That was the time that my dad or mom, there was, something that, it was something, I mean, my mom used to make me do book reports and stuff. Like, she was really, like, on this day. Like, it was a holiday, right, for people, a lot of people. But I swear I had to used to do work. I used to do some kind of report on Dr. Martin Luther King or something.
Was there an added pressure or just kind of an added sort of feeling being black growing up around Martin Luther King's birthday?
No, not at all. My only pressure was from my mom. Like, would you leave me alone? Let me go do something? But I'm grateful for it because what it has done is as an adult, it has always made me dig deep. I do this every single year where I dig deep into something about the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And I'll share something with you guys today, something that I found out. And here's a did you know? Weird. Out of all those reports that my mom made me do, did you guys know that he was 5'7"?
Really?
Thank you. That's what I said. And so so today, for about an hour, I was just looking at pictures. Go look. Hey, don't believe me? Go look at the pictures and go start to look. You like, wait a minute. Coretta is taller. It will blow your mind. I mean, like, here's my thing. Have you ever even thought about to even want to know how tall he was?
No.
Yeah, did you? That's my point. So today, when he was like, oh, yeah, well, Martin Luther King was only 5'7", I said, wait, what? And so I started looking at the pictures. I'm like, man, he's sitting there marching and everybody's taller.
It's almost like I probably would have believed it if you had said he was 5'7", and I would have believed if you had said 6'7", in that both of them were it was sort of believable.
I would have never thought 5'7". I would have thought, sweet spot, 6 foot, sweet spot. I mean, 100 years ago, 5'7" was the average height for males. Here's what I want to talk about with you, Drew. I wanted to talk about the fact that, because there was a text that kind of came in. It was, I love our texters and everything. And the text says, from the 425, G, what do you do to preserve MLK's legacy? What can blacks, whites, etc. do to celebrate, and what can everyone do to celebrate equally? And I thought that was a great question because this would give me an opportunity to share. One of the things that we all now do is we get on social media and we post some great quotes, right? Great. Like, oh, he was great, and he one of the greatest speakers of all time. And it's just a popular thing to do, to give these quotes. You know the greatest thing we can do, all of us, is to actually try to live by some of the things in some of those quotes in real life, right? Like, if Dr. Martin Luther King were living today, just remember, he was arrested over 30 times. He was the top threat by the FBI considered him a threat. He was considered radical. At one point, he was considered, it was called, those marches that he was doing, those were threat marches. Nobody liked those things of him. If Dr. Martin Luther King existed today, would he be loved and revered? No, it would be the same way as it was back then. One of the things my dad shared with me, I remember, this is, I don't know, maybe 20-something years ago, and he was just telling me, and I was like, man, everybody loved Dr. Martin Luther King. And he says, no, they didn't. I said, what do you mean? Everybody loves him. He says, son, no, they didn't. And so he started to explain some things to me.
Why did he have some not big fans at the time?
Well, he's not saying that he wasn't a fan.
But other people were.
But other people, a lot of people weren't.
Why is that?
But what blew my mind was when he talked about how other black people were not a fan.
Really?
Yes. And I said, well, why is that? He said, well, you got to understand, son. Sometimes it was considered like, hey, we don't want him to come over to our town and make noise and break up the peace. Like, yeah, he's talking about nonviolence, but people in some of those towns were like, hey, if you stay away, we're not going to have any problems. We are okay. And like my father explained to me, we're okay with these times right now. We're not in slavery. No, things aren't the greatest, but they aren't like they used to be. So
it's like the times aren't that great, but don't make it worse.
Don't make it worse. I got a job. I'm able to take care of my family. But sometimes my dad would say when he would come into towns, different towns down in the South, it would be rough after he left for people that still had to live in that town. So they would say, Drew, I see you were at that march. Yeah, you're no longer working here anymore. And another thing that I wanted to talk about today, I only got a couple more minutes. I was looking at some stuff today. I think I told you about this, Drew. I was looking at at a march, and I didn't see what particular march it was. But in the crowd, standing there with Martin Luther King, right next to him, kind of over to his right, were two white men. And I was thinking, wow. What stood out to me, Drew, is two white men standing right there in those times. I mean, I'm not talking about somebody getting on Facebook and saying, hey, I saw you standing with Dr. Martin Luther King. No. I'm talking about these people giving up their life, sacrificing their entire family's life to stand next to that man. And I had to ask myself, is there anything in this world that I believe in so much that I would give up I would sacrifice my family? It really almost brought me to tears today to think about all of those that were white standing next to Dr. Martin Luther King during those times and getting the hate towards them during that time. Like, it would take a real man, woman with courage to do those kind of things.
Let me ask you a hypothetical that I haven't even thought about what the answer would be.
What's that?
If you were to transport that exact situation that led to that photograph that you saw, do you think that in today's society, with the amount of proliferation with social media and having a picture somewhere taken, do you think that the person the two people that allowed themselves to be photographed for that picture, do you think that they would be just as likely to stand there today? Yes. And I believe that we have some of those same people today that continue to do the same thing, that continue to use their voice and use their platform. And that's why sometimes when people are talking about things and talking about divisions and separation and things, you have to remember, there are a lot of people that don't want that. There are a lot of people that are willing to sacrifice their family, their name, to try to make better for change in the world. Those two white people that were in that photo, I can only imagine the way their grandkids or their great-great-grandkids look at that picture and be able to say, man, look at our family being represented right there. No. This is not about the what's famous today to go ahead and put those quotes on social media. They can actually look back and say, no, my people stood by then at that time. I ain't got it in me. I don't know what there is outside of my kids. I don't have anything that I would give my life for. That's amazing.
Coming up next, it's time for Unpopular Opinion. Listen to KIRO Nights. G. Scott.